Hi, welcome back. Booze and the Bees.
Welcome to the Woke Up This Way podcast.
Yeah,
we
we're doing
woke up this way.
right as soon as, well, I just woke up. He's been up for a little bit, but yeah, we are ready for this podcast. I know that we're going to be talking a lot about relationships and having a kid, which is something I can relate to, obviously. And I got some questions in from one of my boos, so should we just get started?
Yep.
Okay, first question. When is it safe to introduce your kids to a man, especially if it's a girl? When is it safe? I mean, I don't think there's like a right perfect time. I just think it's definitely necessary to like wait before introducing your kids to who you're dating, because you don't want them to get confused if you're dating around and you don't know if you're going to be with this person. It's really not fair for a kid to like build that connection with them and then it doesn't work out, you know? So I personally always waited. I don't have a magic number though.
Yeah, I don't think there's a magic number either. Definitely what she said. If you have a kid, you need to put that kid first. And I've seen two different ways people kind of describe this, and one I think is positive and one is negative. You always put Chloe first, but you didn't make it, I'm the parent, I do this, what I say goes, you have no say, you're not the dad. You're definitely not going to find a good partner doing it that way.
Right.
You're going to want to make sure it's like, I'm trying to find a partner who's going to fill a position, but it can't be like I have a kid, you better be way good for me. It's like, then they'll get someone without one if you're going to have that attitude.
Yeah, and like I understand putting up boundaries a little bit, but definitely if this is like the partner that you're trying to figure out if you're going to have a future with and stuff, you have to allow them to also slowly start to make decisions when it comes to the household.
And it can't seem like an interrogation. You can't be going out into the dating field with more baggage and a more difficult life for your partner and then make their life a hell. It's like, well, then they'll just choose the one without the baggage if that's the case. So you need to really just be a very good partner, understand that you're coming from a more difficult place for many people to accept, and then while you're looking, just be the kindest version of yourself possible, be the most open and accepting version of yourself possible, put your kid first, and the right kind of guy will appreciate that you wanted to have your kid have their privacy and not meet them yet and really get to know them. But don't be giving them the 20 questions. Just get to know them like a normal person and then see if they have good characteristics that you would like to be the father of your kid eventually. And if they already have a father, like a different scenario, like,
our scenario is a little different because my Minnie's father was never in the picture. So I'm sure that's a whole nother factor to add on to also when it's like making those decisions and stuff.
Yeah, because you're not, in my case, I would be taking the father role, but in so many other cases, it's like this new guy is not going to be their father, but you still need to put your kid first and they'll appreciate that. Know that, if they have some rules that they want to set as boundaries, that you need to appreciate those and that they need to be able to work with you on her boundaries that she's going to set. Because men and women parent differently and combined, they make a very good team.
Yeah.
So just remember that. Again, there's no perfect time that we know. It just sort of is, I trust this person's intentions. I trust what they're doing. Maybe do it out in public, take them all to dinner, let them get to know you there. So it's in like a safer spot than just like bringing them home. And definitely don't confuse the kid by having a ton of boyfriends come over.
Right.
Like that's the worst. You are not at a stage of your life after you've had a kid to where you should just be dating around and having fun and trying to pick the best one. Like you should be actively trying to move on with your life in the best possible scenario for the kid. So, and the right guys will like that. They'll appreciate it.
Definitely. And the right person wouldn't be pushy about it either. If you're like the partner, I wouldn't be pushy about like meeting the kid right away. Because
no,
it's good for them to not have you meet them right away.
Yeah.
It's a good sign. I don't want to say it's a bad sign also. And it kind of goes into the next question. If you meet the kids, does that mean she likes you?
No.
It really just depends. Like if you're dating someone, you're clearly dating, going on dates and stuff, and then she introduces you, then yeah, that she feels safer with you and like feels like that she'll, hopefully, I can't speak for every woman, but
Yeah.
hopefully that means like, oh, like you're my possible forever partner. Now it's time for this next step.
Yeah, and that just goes into though. There's some people, they have kids and they like barely take care of them, and they
Right.
just go on dates, and so it's really hard to say what every woman would do and what every guy would
Exactly.
do, because there's also guys that are just trying to get into your pants. They don't care if you have a kid because they don't even take care of their own.
Right.
So it's I wouldn't use kids in any way to justify your dating, or to say, oh, someone likes me because of children. Children and dating shouldn't be in the same sentence in terms of like anything to do with your relationships. You need to be able to build your own relationships. And I couldn't say you need to. I could say it wouldn't work with me, and there's a lot of guys that wouldn't fly with. So
Yeah. And building the relationship with the kid's important too.
it is, but that just comes later.
Yeah.
And
Can't rush it. Can't
don't rush
force it. Can't.
don't think, oh, they showed me their kids, so therefore they think
We're gonna
everybody's
get married. Yeah.
everybody's different, you know. And also, everybody out there, there's bad guys, there's bad girls, there's bad mothers, there's bad fathers, and there's also really good ones. So you're not going to know when you just meet somebody necessarily. You might know,
You're
you
right.
might get it right, but you might get it really wrong too. So just use your best judgment and just try to be the best version of yourself, and don't get jaded and put up walls because of children. Don't think someone introducing you means anything. Just sort of take it slow and
Yeah.
just be your best self.
Right. And then the next one, because all these correlate the same topic. How should men interact with the kids after they first meet? And, you know, just, I get what you're saying. Like, don't obviously come in and be like, I'm your father now. You listen to me. Or, you know, just don't put any pressure on it. Just like be friendly and nice. And, you know, you can ask the mom questions if something's okay to do at first, like figure out boundaries and stuff. But it'll get easier because, like, you weren't all around a lot of kids before Minnie, really, right?
Never.
Yeah. And
No.
you didn't even want kids.
I didn't want kids. I didn't like being around them. It was very awkward for me to meet her, but she's a cool kid. And I think some of the earlier times was the most difficult because if she needed to do homework or something, I'd be very stern that it gets done right. And that could keep her up late, or she'd try to like argue or whine. And then Ella would try to kind of protect the kid, and then she'd be crying and upset. And it was really hard.
Both of us weren't used to having a more stern figure around, so
Yeah.
it was new for both of us. So that's another thing from like a mother's perspective, learning like patience and stuff, and then just communication. Usually not in front of the kid.
Yeah.
Communicate after about what you guys want to do in the future with homework or anything else that comes up like
Yeah.
that.
But I mean, from some of my parenting tactics, now she's a straight A student. She gets everything done with no issues.
And because I wasn't used to it, didn't mean it wasn't right. It felt not right to me in the beginning because it was unknown. I was just like, I'm used to when a man raises their voice at me and is stern, it's like I'm in trouble. And I have my own issues with that. And so it took a lot of patience and communication and just trial and error because not both of us don't know what we're doing still.
Yeah. And you got to imagine nobody has known what they're doing. Our parents didn't know what they're doing. The generations before that didn't know what they're doing. They might have had some idea, but you can't know what's going to happen in 30 years. And you just have to know that two different parents, two different genders, two different hormones, you know, you're going to have different thoughts and two different upbringings. And you just have to accept that has worked for thousands of years, many, many thousands of years. And just to say, I need to be patient with my partner because the alternative is I don't feel good about what they're saying. And so I'm going to shut it down. And it's worse for your child to just be going through partners that don't agree with you. And if you find a partner that agrees with you fully, you're not going to like them. And it's going to be worse for your kid in the long run, according to statistics. So that one's not just an opinion, right? There are firm stats on, you know, how difficult it is for single parent households, and that it just doesn't work. It's not sustainable, and that you really do need, you know, a masculine and feminine way of upbringing a child, because you need that emotional balance. You need to also have that stern discipline, and one or the other tends to have bad results.
Yep. Yeah. I could. I know that personally too. Like, with my dad, he was more stern, and he was my stepdad. And so when my parents split up, my brother got the sternness of my father, and then I just got, the nurturing from my mom. And so both of us kind of faulted from losing that. And it was really
different problems.
It was really nice to have both. Like, with me just doing it with Minnie for the first 4 years was really hard. It was the hardest parts of parenting, was doing it by myself with her. It was even though I had my mom, it was just totally different doing it with a partner. And so, yeah, it's so important. Just make sure you all communicate during, tough times, like any kind of high intense situation like homework. I just remember those moments. They'd be so intense sometimes. Now Minnie is so perfect at homework, y'all. It's like night and day. So and
we see other people who have their kids come over and they are nightmares with homework. And it's because they've never had any structure. Like, they'll come over and I'll be like, no, you say please and thank you. No, you're doing this now. And they'll look at you like, yeah, my mom doesn't say. And I'm like, I'm not your mom. You're in my house. You're doing it. And then they sort of get things done. But I couldn't even imagine. And then when their parents do come over, you're just like, hey, do this. And their parents will just go give it to them. And they'll be like, I didn't have to say please. It's like, well, that would not have happened with me, right? And so you just have to realize that what doesn't feel good might be right. It also might be wrong. So there's that balance between what do you feel, what's right, and what you think is right, and then to, again, communicate that with your partner and say, is this the right way to go? Don't do it in front of the kid. Don't fight in front of the kid. It doesn't help them. It just lets the kid know that there's imbalance and they don't know what to do, right? Yeah. So even if I make what she thinks is a bad call, she'll back it, and then we'll discuss how to improve that call later, and vice versa. If she makes a call and says, we're not doing this, I'm like, okay, I don't think it's the right call, but it's already been done, so today is done.
Talk about it later, yeah.
And we'll talk about it later. And then just say, hey, I think we need to be stern in this way, or maybe we can have this type of punishment, or maybe we can have this type of reward, because rewards do tend to work better than punishment.
Yeah.
So
parenting and relationships, it's a whole thing. It's a whole mix.
And no one's right.
Yeah.
We just know what has worked well with us thus far. And we don't have like a teenager, so we can't like advise you on how to deal with your teenager either.
Yeah.
So,
and then the last question, correlates again. What if the kid and your partner don't gel? Which at times in the beginning, I thought that was going to happen. I thought that's going to be the case. Like, you and Minnie just weren't going to get along because, at first too, she wasn't used to this kind of figure in her life. So she would definitely rebel against him and not want to listen. Still does that sometimes too. And
that's kids, I would imagine.
Different little instances where it makes it seem like the kid doesn't like them. But with time and stuff, you'll see. You have to give kids patience also with like a new partner. And again, communication like with the kid. I had a lot of times where I thought him and Minnie we're not going to get along, but it's just not the case.
You also have to imagine most adults you meet aren't mature. They're kids. They're definitely not mature. So how they handle emotions is far from where it should be. How many adults handle emotions is far from where it should be. So yeah, just give it time. And if they don't gel and it's like a really bad negative thing, that's probably not your person. But it just goes into, are they really not gelling, or do you just feel bad about the situation because it's not how you would do it?
Yeah.
And I could see how that could be misconstrued. Like if you think, oh, they don't get along because the guy made them do their homework and so they're just not getting along and so I have to break up with the dude, that's going to have worse long-term side effects than it is going to be saying maybe they need some structure. You just have to think, what is the end goal and what's the reason? If they're just yelling at the kid to yell at the kid and there's no good reason for it, that's a problem. But if they're like, I'm yelling at the kid because they need to do something and the thing that they do is going to help them long-term in life when they're living by themselves and choosing partners and doing work for somebody to pay bills, like what is the purpose behind the yelling? And you can kind of just say, are they really not getting along, or is this actually just what parents have done forever?
Yeah.
And I just haven't had that in their life yet. I
agree. I agree, because it's a new ballpark going from being single and dating someone with a kid, definitely. So patience. That's my line today. Patience and communication. Seriously. Seriously. And it's hard. It's not like it's I don't want to like lie to you and say it's easy dating someone with a kid. It's definitely like a whole nother package you're adding on.
It's
a whole
also
nother person.
You also have to take into account too, if you're dating someone, especially who doesn't have kids already, like if it's a guy who doesn't have kids and you have a kid and you're a single mom and you're going into the dating market, one, a lot of people you wish you could get with, you won't be able to now. Just drop your expectations right there. You're not going to probably be able to go and get the 10 stunner who's just really looking forward to spending a lot of their money on you and your child. It's probably not going to happen. You're going to find somebody who has good morals and a good heart and have to build themselves up. Like, we weren't perfect, but we were perfect for each other at the right point in life to build and grow together. But you're going to have to find someone to build and grow with, and you're going to need extra patience. To think you're going to skip the line and go to the top guy who's got a jet and a yacht and no kids and no baggage and a perfect job and also still somehow has a ton of time for you and your kid and then just wants to give you their money to help support you so you can be a stay-at-home mom, is probably not going to happen for you. You're going to have to struggle and deal with the cards you get and just try to look at somebody for who they are and realize like you're an enormous financial obligation. And since you're an enormous financial obligation, you kind of need to offset that by being a really good partner.
Well, you should just be a good partner anyway.
You should be a really good partner anyway, but there's some people out there, they're like, I'm going to be a bad partner and I think they should support me. What are they, a bum? I'm like, well, then you're going to be alone. And is paying all your bills yourself easier than having a partner who might not be the best? Probably not. So it's like, just be a good partner to whoever you find anyway, and just be really appreciative of the stuff that they give you, because it is a huge financial burden. And not to say burden in a bad way.
Don't settle. Don't think because you're a mom now you have to just settle for anybody. Like, don't be with someone like, obviously what he's saying, like, don't be looking for like Mr. Perfect, 10 out of 10, gonna have the perfect career and, like he said, take care of you and stuff, but also don't just settle for someone who's not a good person.
Yeah, don't do that.
You have a kid and you have extra baggage. That doesn't make you less valuable in like finding love. But definitely, yeah, you have to keep your options open if you're the kind of person who doesn't. Definitely.
Yeah, because that
should be anybody, kid or not.
Yeah, kid or not, you should be getting somebody on your level. And what's on your level? It's not like, oh, I'm the prettiest or I'm the best or I have the best job. It's literally like, are you a good person or are they a good person? Because you're going to need to build together no matter what. Like, that should be the standard. And a lot of people lost that and forgot that.
And I like that we both like one of us didn't start more. Like, obviously you started more successful than me. You already had a good job. But like at like you said, the time we were both at the perfect growing spot. Like, we both needed to keep growing. Yeah. And some people go like, like the women, they'll go for the older guy who is already successful,
already together,
and already did the growing. It's so hard to like.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I used to date older too, thinking more mature and probably better off financially. Not the case. Mm-hmm. Not the case. And plus the age difference too. You're just a way different times of life.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you got to imagine if there's a 20-year-old girl on a 65-year-old's mega yacht, right? There's not going to be a 20-year-old dude on a 65-year-old girl's mega yacht. This just isn't what happens, right? So it's like when you're younger as a woman, you have more options to like, you think, oh, I'm going to get everything and everybody. It's like, it'd be better to pick someone like 2, 3, 4 years older than you that hasn't gotten the yacht yet and build the yacht with them. They're going to be more loyal because that guy would have put off many, many years of his life to earn that yacht. He would have had to sacrifice dating in his 20s, sacrifice partying, sacrifice nights and weekends and building a family.
Unless they're not like a rich kid.
Oh, yeah, unless they're like a rich. But I mean, at that point, you're talking about, I mean, a 0.02% of the population. So like a majority of like the wealthy people had to really, really work hard. Mm-hmm. And if they're 35 and they're like, I'm looking for a 22-year-old model because I'm rich, then they're honestly not looking for you, and they can probably get multiple dates. Just like you in your 20s when you had 3 people you're talking to. That might be you now, and you have 3 guys you're talking to. Guys don't have those options unless they're like the top 1%. So it's just remember that it's really hard out there for guys to date. And if they're at the point where they can go and get 5 to 10 different numbers at once, and like all of them will actually message back and not ghost them, that they're probably not looking for baggage. They're like, I already sacrificed a lot of my life. I'm not looking to do that. So you're going to want to find someone who's like ready to sacrifice their life to build. And you're ready to sacrifice some of your comforts to build with them. Yeah. And understand we were sleeping on the floor together, and understand you're going to have hard times together, and that you can grow that together. Not, oh, I'm just going to get the perfect guy and they should be ready to settle down. Why are they ready to settle down? They just started. You had all your party time. It's their party time now. You know, so just recognize that things happen differently for men and women at different points of their life. And for you to say, oh, well, don't settle for a bad guy. It's the guy shouldn't have to settle for the bad girl either. And so it's just like, really find someone on your level with good character traits, doesn't have it all together, but has enough, and is going to build into the person that he wants to be. And you're going to build into the person you need to be for him also. And so be kind, be caring. And when you are dating someone, pretend they're already the right guy, I would say.
What do you mean? Clarify.
Pretend they're already the right guy. Because if you go into a relationship and you're already hardened and you're giving them the 20 questions and you're like putting up walls and like, I'm not going to make it easy for him, but if he was the right guy, then he could break down my walls. Break him. You got to already start by breaking him down, because he's not going to want to deal with that.
It's like the I can't trust you yet kind of thing. It's like, if it really should be the opposite. You should trust someone until they break it, until they break that trust. So like going into a relationship guarded already, which I've done every time, and like very like you just put up a wall. It's really hard for like that partner to get to know you and for y'all's relationship to grow when it's like you have this just boulder holding you down, and you're like, no, I don't like, you're not really a good guy, even though you're telling me this, because like I already know like all guys are bad. Like, no, you want to have a fresh, clean mindset with someone and go into it like looking at them like
new person,
because they're not your ex.
And if you treat them like you would have treated your ex, then you're going to lose them, and they could be the right guy, you know. Right. And it's also not to say go in and just like blindly let them in and assume they're going to be the best either. I love you. Oh, this is so perfect. You know, it's like, don't do that either. It's sort of just don't have the hard walls, but don't be naive.
Be fair.
Just be fair. Treat them like you would have treated, you know, your first partner, right? Don't let all of life's torment drag you down, because you're really going to be a different person when you're dating. And what if they did fall in love with the walled off version of you, and then you start opening up and they're like, oh, I hate this opened up version. I liked that you like really made things hard for me. Well, great. That sucks for you then, because then you never really get to have a happy relationship. And you're like, why do I never get what I should have? Well, it's because you aren't being your authentic self at the beginning, and they can't fall in love with your authentic self. And if you were just who you want to be, like, do what you would want to do with your partner. Like, why would you check their phone? Do you want to be the kind of partner that checks their phone all day, every day? Mm-hmm. If you want to be that type of partner, that's one thing. But if you want to be the partner that's like, I really wish I could have a partner where I didn't have to check his phone all the time. Well, start off by not checking his phone all the time.
Right.
Because you're going to make it way more difficult for someone to trust you when you aren't trusting them. And then you'd say, well, what if they did cheat? Well, then you didn't pick the right person. So you should just look for character traits.
And that will come out on its own. I really, truly believe.
Yeah, it'll all happen.
When something bad happens, like, and that relationship's not meant to be, it'll come to light.
Yeah,
you don't have to be the detective. Yeah.
You don't, because if you force it, it's guaranteeing you fail.
You're just going to, personal experience, looking through a phone and you're doing it maliciously, you're going to find stuff that hurts your feelings, because it's just not, you're already doing it in a not trusting way. And you're going through someone's stuff without like full context, full anything. Like you're not like asking, like, it's different asking your partner a question like who is this person you're messaging on your phone, to be open, whatever. It's another thing to just like sneakily, they're sleeping, you're literally looking for something until you like find something to hurt your feelings. Like that's what your intentions are when you're going through the phone. So like he said, the fresh start into it's really going to help. And I was just lucky that you were patient enough with me, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I was very much hard on myself and him in the beginning of our relationship.
And I mean, you got to see where I was coming from too. I used to drink a bunch. I wasn't too happy. I had a good income, but it didn't really matter. I wasn't fit, and I just wasn't in a good place in my mental space. And she wasn't in a good place in her mental space, but we both wanted to be better versions of ourselves. So where she had problems, I also had problems. And so we got to work on them together. And that's what made it so good, because I saw that she really is what you think she is when she does her stuff online. She's very nice, very feminine, very emotional person, and very loving, but has some issues. And
who doesn't, man?
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's like I was a big guy, didn't really care about what I was doing, didn't have as much direction or focus. I still struggle with focus. I got ADHD. And so her being such a good doer helps me being such a good thinker, and we can kind of work together to get stuff done. And we just saw those character traits in each other and knew it's like, if we keep working together, like, we can't lose. And having talked so many times, like, we still aren't perfect on everything, but who is? We're at a point where it's like, I know she's on my side. She knows I'm on her side. So whenever we say anything, it's not like an offensive.
Doesn't feel like an attack. Yeah.
And that happens a lot that we hear about in relationships, is people feel attacked, and therefore it becomes this whole conversation.
Yeah.
And especially when you're a young guy, you talk to a lot more men than women. I know, really surprisingly. And you don't realize, like, sometimes women just want to feel things and be mad about feelings. And to be heard doesn't mean you didn't say words. It means, I don't think you felt how I felt, so I'm going to keep saying things different ways to make you feel bad so you feel how I feel. And guys are like, why are you trying to make me feel feelings? For one, let's start there. And two, there's no solution to this except for now we're both mad. And is that good? Is that what we wanted? Right? And so once a guy realizes, like, she's just talking with her feelings, so let's get through the feelings together and nurture that, and then we can do the solution later. There's ways to kind of realize you and your partner are different, and to communicate differently. And especially when you get younger guys, they don't know. They don't know women talk different than guys do. And we're only talking on a straight lens here just because that's our experience.
Yeah.
But
that's all we can talk on.
I can't say I'm sure, but I would imagine this is the same in same-sex couples, but there's like a different feminine versus masculine energy, right? You still get different mindsets the way you think. So we're talking boy and girl, but that could still be girl, girl, boy, boy. Just
masculine and feminine. Doesn't mean boy, girl.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're saying is just people think different hormonal balances, and when you get a partner, it's that yin and yang. Y'all and you want
that. You don't want someone who's the same as you.
No,
it's not going to work.
What a mess.
It's not going to work.
And I'm not going to say it can't, because I don't know.
Well, like, exactly the same, though? Like, you think the same, you solve problems the same?
Yeah, I mean, I just have no stats for it. Like, if I knew a stat on it, I would say. I mean, the opinion is we don't think it would work. It might. I've no.
That's what I mostly speak on, is my opinion, y'all, just so you know.
Yeah, I normally speak on numbers that say, okay, these are, this is the divorce rate, this is that, but the opinion tends to be backed by numbers, or I'll tell you, hey, I don't know if this comes from anything or if it's just anecdotal experience, because experience can be tough. It's low sample size. But like raw numbers, like single parent households have numbers. Yeah, raw numbers. Single parents household having trouble with children and, breaking laws and grades and all that. Like, those are stats, right? So those are things we can touch on with opinion backed by science.
Thanks. Well, I think that was a really good episode for talking about kids and relationships. And then let us know if y'all have other specific questions. Would love to address them in another episode. And any last thoughts about dating and children?
No, just remember the kids need to come first. They're the only ones who didn't mess up.
Yeah.
They were just born. They're innocent. So make sure to give them patience and understand that while you're figuring things out, they still got 20 years to figure it out, the same as you are now. So you're not going to be able to teach a kid what you just learned yesterday tomorrow. They have a lot of experience left. So just remember they're innocent. they don't know any better, and to treat them as such.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there treating their kids like adults, and that's not good.
And if you are interested in someone who has a kid, I would think it's better to clarify where the relationship is going from the start. Because if you're kind of playing around, you're getting this attachment to this kid and this partner, and that's going to be even harder for you to lose both when you realize that's not what that person was originally like. They were originally not trying to date you.
Yeah.
That should be established first. And I know some situations it's hard, like if you already met the kid, so now you're like around the kid and stuff. But I really think it's really important for you to clarify that for your own feelings, because I know kids can cause a really strong connection with people. And I would hate to see people getting heartbroken.
Yeah.
You know, and just really don't be afraid to be like, where is this going?
I think that could be the next episode that we do.
Okay.
Can be on intentions and being clear on what you're doing. Because I definitely agree is you got to imagine if this woman and child got connected to you for a short term, but they don't think you're a long-term partner. Do you think her next long-term partner is going to want you to be around that much anymore? Especially if you had feelings?
Not at all.
Not at all. And then do you think, okay, well, now this person doesn't want to be around me and you find a long-term partner? Do you think your partner and your future children are going to be spending as much time with this other family?
Not at all. That's why that's why I want to make it like, don't. I don't want you to feel like you're wasting time hanging out with friends, but I don't want you to get taken advantage of either. And if someone's getting free food and all this fun stuff to do with their kid, they're gonna keep taking up your offers. They're going to.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Especially since they're going to be putting their kids first. They might put themselves first too, and they just think it's fun to do, and like they don't have to pay for their kids, so they can buy new Prada bags. You know, you have no idea what their intention is, but don't fall into it. If you're not the long term, move on. Just picture yourself in 5 years. If it's not with them, what would you be doing? And if you think spending half of your money on this other person while you have a partner is the move, it's not.
Yeah.
And your future partner will never accept that. So you're just wasting the next 5 years of your life if you can't picture yourself with them.
Right.
And we'll make that a whole episode. We'll talk about intentions, because I think there's quite a few people in your comments that were talking about, what do I do with this person that I met that's a friend, and how many friends do you need?
And like not knowing, I feel like you should know.
You need to know
if it's romantic or not.
Yeah.
I think for me, I would make it pretty obvious if I was romantically interested in somebody.
Yeah, and she did. And that's another thing, is she played all of her cards right to get a six-figure earner out the gate. With all the problems we both had, she was like, it was really good, really genuine, treated me very fairly, and showed interest, reflected it, didn't try to hide it, didn't try to play games, and that would have been, you know, a lot of people do that. It's a tough dating world out there, so don't make it harder. You don't want to date in a hard world. They don't either. So stop playing games. If you're not going to play games with your future husband, don't play games with the next person you try to date.
Yeah, because it's not like Chuck and Blair where they get off playing games together.
Yeah.
Gossip Girl.
So funny. Yeah. Yeah, because like if that's your partner, that's your partner. I don't look at the star signs, but I hear Scorpios are tough. I don't know. Do y'all fight each other? Is that like your thing? If that is your thing, put it in the comments. If you like
so
fighting
funny.
your partner and pranking them, then by all means, but just make what you want to have happen in the next 5 years, do that with your next partner.
We're both Pisces, by the way.
Yeah, we chill. We're
each other's fish. Yeah. All right. I love you guys. This was a great episode. I hope y'all learned a lot from it. And
Guffaw.
Hope we make you laugh.
Someone's got to laugh. Whoa. Ham. Guffaw, Ham.
Ham, laugh.
Ham, you laugh?
Ham, laugh.
You laughing? He's laughing. All right. Guffaw, everybody.